Okay, this is the video analysis for Alec Viertel. Alec, appreciate you doing this. The way that this is going to work is I'm going to watch your swing through one time, and it's just going to be you. Sorry, for the first 8 minutes, I guess, it's just going to be you. And we're going to break down and go through your swing and talk about some things that we can do differently, talk about some things that we can do better. And then for the next 8 minutes, what I'll do is I'll put you up next to a big leaguer, and we'll run those together, and hopefully you'll see some things with the big leaguer that he does that I was talking about with your swing that you can change and implement within your swing. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to go ahead and play this for you. I'll play it for you in real time, and then I'll go ahead and play it for you in slow motion. Okay, so first things first, I always like to look at the stance. Where are we at in our stance? Okay. What I would change, and it's really simple, and I was telling your brother the same exact thing, but we want these 2 feet pointing in the same direction. We especially want this back foot pointed straight. And if we look at where this is pointed from your heel to your toe, we're pointed back here towards the catcher a little bit. Okay, now you're going to see this later on and where it becomes troublesome. But what ends up happening is we aren't able to get our back hip engaged at the point of contact as we'd like. So I'll go ahead and show you later on when we get through this where it ends up showing up. But so that's a simple little fix right there, Alec, and it's not real hard to make. Might be uncomfortable at first, but the thing that you have to do when you're making these sorts of changes, especially within your stance, get up in your stance, take a peek down at your foot, where you at, you're good, okay, go. And what ends up happening is when you're making changes, it takes a good amount of swings to do it the right way before your body starts realizing and understanding where it needs to be without you having to check. So that's just something that you'll have to be a little bit more diligent with your swing and with your stance. And just being able to turn that thing in just a little bit more. Okay, so everything else is good with your stance. Shoulders are in line, which is great. Eyes here on the pitcher, good. Front foot's good. So everything else is pretty good. This back elbow's fine. Everything looks relaxed up top. That's more or less what we're looking at, looking for, trying to be relaxed. We don't want a whole lot of tension within our swing. Tension creates a slow bat, so you're pretty good right there. The only thing I would change is that back knee. Okay, so now, as we start going forward, here's what I want you to think of. Okay, if we're looking at this back foot, and I don't know if you'll be able to tell for certain, but look at where the pressure and the weight of your back foot goes. Okay, so as we go back, where does that weight end up dispersing, and where does it end up going? Well, the answer is it ends up being dispersed over the whole part of your foot. Okay, and ultimately what we want for this thing to be dispersed right here on the inside part of our foot. Why? Well, because when we get all of our weight back there on our back foot and we get over our back foot, and we sit on our back foot, then it creates a little extra time. We get stuck, a little extra time to get back to where we need to be, and ultimately, we aren't trying to make a swing that's good for the tee or make a swing that's good for front toss. We're trying to make a swing that's good for the game. So we're trying to create as much efficiencies as possible within our swing. So that's one thing that I would tell you is always have and always think of having the weight on the inside part of your back foot whenever you're starting to come through. Okay, so when you're loading, so from this point here, you're pretty good. So keep it right there. So when you load up, you're getting back there. So as this front knee starts to come up, as you start shifting back, what I would do is concentrate on, for one, you can concentrate on keeping the weight right here. Okay, so really tensing up those muscles there, or you can think of keeping the weight there and really emphasizing being able to sit on the inside part of that back foot. Okay, so those are two pretty simple things too, but as you go back, that'll make a whole lot of difference. Okay, so as we start separating, you do a pretty good job of getting in a decent position in terms of width with your feet. You're about 1.5, 2 times the width of your waist, which is pretty good. That's pretty good distance to be in. Now, what I would tell you is it looks like we don't get in a great position in terms of being athletic. Okay, we want to think of when we get here in this position, we want to be almost like we're guarding a guy in basketball. And if you were to take away your upper half right here, and we were only looking at this part right here, would we be able to say that that's a good athletic position to be in to guard a guy in basketball? Not so much. Why? One, because if you see, that back foot's still open. Okay, so that makes it a little tougher to move left or right, and we just lose some athleticism there. The second part of that is when we get to our front side and we get balanced, if we look at where the weight is distributed on our front foot. Okay, so we're working towards the inside of our front foot too. And then what ends up happening and can be a cause for concern there is when we end up on the inside part of our front foot, one, we aren't getting balance, but two, the movement ends up being to push over our front foot. You do a good job of not doing it, but this right here isn't as secure of a position as that is. Okay, so if you can get to this position right here with your legs, especially with your front leg just a little bit earlier, one clip earlier, so from here to there, if you can get there at this point, then you're be in a really good spot. And then I think the back foot and the back knee, what ends up happening is if you start in the right spot with your stance, then you end up getting in a pretty good spot there. But everything looks like it ends up being rushed. So you end up getting there pretty good. You do a good job of stopping yourself and your momentum with that front leg. And now if we're looking at our back leg, there's still more that we can drive through. So from here to there, tell me if we're really gaining a whole lot with that back leg. Not a whole lot. We're just kind of sitting there. There's still some weight on the ground with our back leg, and ultimately we want that back foot to almost be off the ground when we're making contact. Okay, so there's still some work left to do with those legs, and I'll show you, I'll put you next to a big leaguer here in a minute, and you'll be able to see exactly kind of what I'm talking about because those guys do it pretty well. Your bat path, not bad. Your head positioning, I want you to look at how still your head stays from here to here. That's tremendous. You don't see a whole lot of guys that are able to do that. So let me put you up next to a big leaguer, and I'll kind of talk and look over his swing and tell you what he does well.